I'm Tony Plahetsky with the Austin American-Statesman, and I'm joined by my colleague Mariah Timms from the Tennessean in Nashville. Over the past week, we have both been working on learning more about what authorities say was a murder plot that resulted in the two deaths of two people in Nashville, involving a car dealer, according to authorities from here in Austin, by the name of Erik Charles Maund. So I want to start by talking to Mariah about what we have learned about these two victims in this case. One was 33-year-old Holly Williams, the other one, 36-year-old William Lanway. So can you just start by telling us what all you did learn about them through the course of your reporting?
Sure. So I've talked to family and friends of both. A lot of people have a lot to say about both of them. Holly Williams has been described, as the perfect big sister. She'd include her little sister in cheerleading sleepovers when they were younger and make sure she always felt welcome. As she got older, she was still trusting and sweet, sometimes got pulled into things that got her in trouble, friends said. She worked to get her medical esthetician degree, which is a very specific type of cosmetology. People can work with burn victims, skin trauma, medically doing work to remove tattoos, things that are really important beyond the level of what you normally hear in a cosmetology license. Really interesting field. And through that all, whenever you met her at a party, they said she'd make you feel included. She wasn't the loudest, brightest person in the room with personality, but she made you welcome. And they love that about her.
But one of the things that you also learned too was that she had this very tumultuous and, according to records, sometimes violent relationship with this on again, off again boyfriend, Bill Lanway, who also was killed. And again, what authorities describe as this plot. Tell us about their relationship.
Well, we can see from police records that it wasn't great, especially in the last year of their lives. Holly called police on Bill, I believe 3 or 4 times in the few months before they died, which raised questions when they were found dead as to the nature of what happened. Friends of Bill have struggled over the past year to reconcile their memories of someone who had a very difficult life, but was a good friend to them, with the information about this relationship and the possibility he is involved in these deaths. Bill had a very tragic life from a young age. His father was sent to prison for life for murdering his mother. He was raised by family. And
court records, by the way, show that he was actually present when that murder began, right?
He was in the home that day. It was Thanksgiving Day in 1986. His father had been in and out of care for holding him hostage a few weeks before, at least him, possibly him and his older sister. And had been receiving help for that, but received a day pass to go home when the tragedy occurred. Bill was raised by an aunt after that and taken care of. And then his life continued to see moments of tragedy, it seems. When he was older, he had a daughter, Maddie, who friends said was the light of his life, but she was diagnosed with a rare brain cancer as a child and died very young. And friends said he never really recovered after that. He was never as bright and happy as he was when he was younger, still generous to his friends with time and support, but a little harder to pin down and a little more reticent in talking about his feelings.
But the court records show that as recently as 3 months before they died, Nashville police had been called out a couple of times because of violent encounters, alleged violent encounters between them, violence from him toward her, correct?
Yes, and screenshots of text messages provided by Holly's friends show she was scared. She was scared at the way the relationship was progressing, uncomfortable being around him at that point. At this point, we'll never know exactly what happened between them or went forward. Bill was charged with domestic assault and later aggravated assault, but he was dead before it ever went to trial. So a lot of details still missing in that and how close they were or how involved they were in what happened that ultimately led to their deaths.
With regard to Holly Williams' suspected tie to Erik Charles Maund, did you get any friends or family members who even knew about that connection, or had she talked to anyone close to her that you have talked to about that connection?
That's been hard to pin down. There was one friend who said she might maybe remember a mention of someone in Texas, but it seems as though she was not expressing a lot of these details to the friends I've been able to speak to.
And also, in addition to that, federal authorities allege that it was Bill who was contacting Maund here in Austin as part of this, again, alleged extortion plot. I want to ask, is there any evidence that you have found that is certainly not alleged in the indictment, but is there anyone you have talked to, investigators or otherwise, I have not, but who suspect or don't suspect that Holly Williams knew that her on again, off again boyfriend was engaging in this extortion plot?
I think that remains a big question. I've been unable to find anyone who can say for certain. Friends of Bill are racking their brains to figure out why he might have needed money or wanted to try to make this happen if he was in charge, and whether, it may have been a conversation with Holly. Holly's friends don't think she would ever be that confrontational to push forward, but they don't know either. So I think that's a question foremost on everyone's minds right now about where this started.
And just a tragedy all the way around.
Absolute tragedy.